Sweating.
We going?
I think so.
This is all good?
There's, yep.
All right.
Okay, here's your screen you want to use over here. So.
All right, I'm Lee.
I'm Jason.
And we're going to submit an offer, North Dakota.
And we are Lee Jason.
North Dakota offer with conventional financing. So Jason is the agent that needs to submit the offer, and I'm helping him on it. So Jason, nice work on finding a ready, willing, and able buyer. So
yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Wasn't very much work, actually.
I'll write these 5 things down quick. So if you're an agent listening to this, grab your pen and pad also and write these 5 things down. So Jason, what's your buyer's, what names, or business name do they want on the offer?
John Thompson.
John with an H?
Yep. Thompson, Thompson.
Okay, and his wife or
nope, just John.
Okay.
Yep.
And how much are they going to offer? Did they take your advice on giving them what they want since there's a lot of interest these days?
Yep, full price offer.
Okay.
$1,000 down.
Okay, 1,000 earnest money, and what's full price? 250.
Well, we don't know for sure because we only have to go through
okay.
Find a subject property. Oh, I suppose we could find one that's 250, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 250.
250, and then do they need any closing costs also? Or are they gonna?
No, they're gonna ask for 3%.
3%. So
what would that be? 7,500.
Yep, that seems a little steep. They won't.
A little steep?
Yep, they won't need that much. We're just gonna go 4,000.
Why is that steep? What do you think? Because there won't be that money in closing costs.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Because since they're using Rubicon, they won't need. They're gonna get a discounted origination fee, and they'll only need like 3 months of taxes, insurance, and specials in escrow. So that's part of that.
Okay.
And we're gonna hopefully, if they accept it, then we can get that transaction fee paid for out of there too. So that should add up to about 4,000.
Okay.
So 4,000, and make sure and ask the lender also if 4,000 is a little too light or right on the money. So 4,000 is usually what it should be, but just make sure and ask the lender.
Yeah, perfect.
1,000 earnest money.
So always ask the lender, or a good idea until you have more experience to ask the lender what a good closing cost dollar amount would be for the purchase price and the offer you're putting in.
Correct.
Okay.
Also, you can warn your buyers that on a property that's 250, the listing agent might counter with a little more than 1,000 earnest money, but it's been working lately. But sometimes if just a little more skin in the game, the seller might ask for more than 1,000.
Okay.
But just over communicate. What contingencies are they putting in there? You said conventional financing.
Conventional, yep.
And are they
going to want inspection?
Okay, inspection.
And
anything else like just make sure and coach your buyers. Is there any other contingencies like do they need to get out of a lease? Do they need an inheritance to get the down payment? Just give them ideas of what could, anything that protects them. Since I'm a buyer's agent, I need to protect my buyers and make sure that there's everything is in the paperwork that will protect their earnest money. So do they have any other contingencies, any fears that I need to communicate?
No.
Okay. All right. And then what closings? So conventional, are they in a lease right now?
They are, but it should be done by closing.
Month to month. Perfect. So we might be able to close. So it's the end of July. 30 days. We're gonna need 40 to 60 days depending on the lender.
Okay.
So that would be August 1st, September 1st, September 10th would be approximately the earliest that they could close right now if we get a deal done today.
Okay.
But can I get on?
Yeah. Go over here.
Okay. We get on the date, and let's just make sure that next month, September
10th is a Sunday, so.
Yep, we'll go 11th.
11th.
Yep.
Okay.
And I always put honor before September 11th. Hey, 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Honor before that in case the lender gets done early and you can close early. So then you don't have to go and get anything
signed. So Rubicon's roughly 40 days. And always make sure you check the date to make sure that you don't put the date as a weekend. I've done that before a few times.
Yep.
It's just a good habit to get into it right away.
Exactly. So, all right, let's find the subject property. You want me to do it?
Yep. Right here. You got to do it on this one.
Okay. So, well, since we're going to do 250, I might as well just put it right at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota. There's one in West Fargo. Perfect. You just go to the little drop down arrow here. Go to transaction desk. It'll bring you to the right site. So we already have, I'm going to ask you for John's email. Did you say it was john.thompson@gmail.com?
Yep.
All right, so we're going, it's a residential sale. And just double check, I'm the selling agent, because it's either selling or listing agent. I
Yep.
know it gets confusing sometimes, but it's
Buyer agent's the selling agent, the listing agent's the listing agent.
correct. Create, now it's creating its own, not loop, but creating its own transaction. Here's where we put in a few of the details, so that's preloaded. Purchase price to, so that 4,000 closing costs, are we going to ask the seller to pay that, or are we going to put it on
Yes.
top? Okay.
All right.
Purchase price.
What do you mean by put it on top? Explain what you mean by that.
Yep, if there's multiple offers and you can't get a discount, sometimes the selling agent or the sellers will let you put your 4,000 closing costs on top of your loan. So then you'd have to put it in the purchase price of 254 and then ask for 4,000 back at closing, and the seller's getting their net of what they're asking of 250. Okay. So deposit 1,000. Property inclusion. So just go back to the flex and detail, and just look down under inclusions. They're going to be right. You might need to help me find them because there we go. So there's normally 6. So this one has all 6. If it's a real old house, it might not have a dishwasher. So that's the only other thing to look for. So washer, dryer, fridge, stove, microwave.
Floor covering, garage door opener.
Yeah, that's just by default. I don't put those in there. You can if you want.
Okay.
But, so good. It's all 6. Just since I'm here. 116 days on the market. You'll want to know that so you can coach your buyers on how aggressive you need to be on the offer if it's first day on the market, and so okay, by this time I've already called the listing agent and said, am I competing? Are there any other offers on the table right now, written offers on the table? And if they say no, then I might have enough room to ask for closing costs or possibly a discount. But, otherwise, if it's first day on the market, you might not be able to ask for anything. You have to coach your buyers into whether or not they're going to have different contingencies, and less mud in the water makes your offer look better. But there's no offers on the table, so we're going to ask for 4,000 closing costs.
Okay.
So the selling agent, you'll need to coach the selling agent also, that because they know that your offer is actually 246 because the seller is going to pay for your buyer's 4,000 closing costs.
Coach the listing agent?
Yep, listing agent.
Well, I see Josh Dietz is the listing agent, so we should have offered 200.
Because he doesn't know how to price homes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, these are all
I'm just a mess with him.
So these are all one-word deals. I always go biggest to smallest, just my head, fridge, stove, dishwasher, microwave, washer, dryer are the ones that are only 50% of the time they're given the washer and dryer.
Okay.
Here's where on exclusions, if you're selling to someone who doesn't want something in the house like a pool table or a hot tub or something like that, you want to put that in exclusions if your buyer specifically asks you to make sure those are gone by closing. I don't want to deal with them.
Were there any exclusions on this listing that you saw?
Didn't think so.
Nope. So then that would generally be just under inclusions.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
You want to read under private remarks in case there's any up and coming specials. Okay, so here's a subject to owner's purchase is a contingency you need to put in there. So make sure your buyers know that, it's a great market. It's a buyer's market. So the sellers of this home that they're making an offer on will likely be motivated and pre-approved to go find a house real quick and get it under contract so that they can move into. But worst case, correct, they don't find a house, we can't close. So we have to put that in there as STOP, subject to owner's purchase. Make sure your buyers know that.
So when they write STOP, that means that they can't actually sell the house until they actually find the replacement home.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a So how does that show up once you put the offer in and it gets accepted? What does it look like?
Yep, under special conditions on line 178, I'll put that in there, and you'll see me put it in.
Okay.
You have a young puppy will be kenneled, buyer's agent to verify, and one card. Okay. So the only other thing I'll need to know, since it's North Dakota, they ask for how many specials are in there. Oh, good. 0 specials. Not in the floodplain. Just certain little things that you'll want to know for your buyer. Lot size. All right. So I don't see any red flags in there. Oh, exclusions garage fridge. I do need to put that in there.
Mine.
Okay. Looking good. There's no other red flags. So exclusions garage fridge. Okay. Next. Dates. You can put the closing date in here. I'm going to wait because it doesn't let me type on or before in this one.
Okay.
So here's where you add your buyer, create new transaction contact. You're okay if I actually do it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this will be buyer. You want to make sure and put what type there, because in the end, it's going to drag all of the initials and signatures down into the correct spot for you. So that's why you have to.
So what other else? Do some people just leave it blank? Accident occasionally?
Yeah, on type there, it just puts something by default, so I have to change it to buyer so that it knows where to put my buyer's initials. Good job. Thompson. Then lean forward and double check your spelling on that before you hit go.
Or buy new glasses.
Save. Yep. We're good there. I'm going to go back. If there's for the seller right here, oh, okay, it is. Since there's 2 people in there, I'm going to delete this. That was put in by Dietz. He didn't do anything wrong, but the reason I want to do that is because on the purchase agreement, it says there's a line for each buyer. And if it's in here as 2 buyers, it's going to put them both on the same one, and someone will have to redo the paperwork again if you don't delete it now. Or you'll just have to delete it one at a time, each page at a time when you go through it.
So you're saying that the other person that was in there will show up as the other buyer?
It'll be buyer number 1 and buyer number 2, and it'll automatically fill in both buyers on buyer number 1, and we'll just have to go back and change it, so it saves time to take them out of this one here. So here's where we pull in the forms. Okay, North Dakota forms, all the way down at the bottom. The reason I highlight them in the order of importance is because then it puts them in order for me. I want to do the purchase agreement first, and then I go, oh, does John Thompson have a house to sell?
No.
That would have been under contingencies. You would have told me that, but just something to make sure and ask them. It protects them and their earnest money. So next would be the next order of importance would be the conventional financing. So that one's second, and then the inspection contingency to me is the 3rd most important. Inspection contingency. Okay, now just
what if you had a house to sell? Which other one would you put in there?
Then there would be another one that's contingency. Is the word that I'm looking for. Contingency addendum.
You just write it. You just end up putting it in there.
Yep. If you had a house to sell, I'd drag that one in also, and then at that time I would need my buyer's house address, their current home address, because it's going to be contingent on the sale of that home. So I'll need that address, and you also need to have a conversation with them up front of how much. Are you okay with me putting that you'll have your house listed with us at Keller Williams within 7 days after the acceptance of this deal, because it asks how many days before they'll have it listed. Okay. And the reason the seller needs to know that is because they don't want to accept your offer and take their house off the market, and you wait a year before you go ahead and list yours. That's not being very aggressive on that. So
we'll do another video next week or something where we can do like a VA financing, and then also with the house to sell, so that we can go cover all that, all those steps as well. So.
Good. time here. Okay, see how I put them in order for me too, the order I want them.
Mm-hmm.
So just from experience, I know that there's 5 North Dakota purchase agreement pages, there's 1 conventional, and there's 1 inspection. So it's 7 pages. You'll want to know how many pages are in there. Until you get to know exactly how many pages there are, you might need to go into each one separate and just count them up. I just know that there's 7 total here.
Okay.
Today's date.
Jeez.
So $1,000 check that's going to go into the listing agents. So we're going to pretend that this is not a Keller Williams listing.
Okay.
Just because we can do a dual agency class some other time, but we'll just say this is a park company listing. Make sure, and I suppose I better put the realtors in there. Now, make sure and grab your little notepad and write down notes as you think of them, otherwise you'll forget them. But make sure your buyer knows that if they accept our offer, you know, we're 100% committed, and we need to get them the earnest money within, it's 48 business hours in North Dakota that you need to have. I usually say, I tell my clients that, I say, but you should have it. If they accept our offer today, it's 1 o'clock now. It sounded like they're in town anyways, so if they accept our offer now, that we'll need to get them our earnest money by 5 o'clock tonight would be best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're out of town, my buyers are out of town or something, and they can't get it, you know, until tomorrow at 5, that's okay. Or tomorrow by midnight, I guess, legally, but so 48 business hours, but just try to coach your buyers into getting it to them by 5 o'clock today, and then have the listing agent send you a screenshot or a copy of the earnest money for our file.
Oh, good idea.
Finance, conventional, there is water softener. See how I put those in there for you.
Put it all in the purchase agreement, which is great.
It's not contingent on the sale of or on the sale of a buyer's property. Is not closing. Here's where I'm going to pick a date.
That's where you see your contingency addendum form that we don't need.
You know, abbreviate this. Put on or before.
Okay.
Assumed by buyer. If under special conditions, it's or under private remarks on the listing, it says up and coming specials, or back here if you go under pending and proposed, it'll say that right here, pending and proposed specials. If there's, you know, an amount there, anything above 0, you'll need to know that, and that means that the seller has already gotten a letter saying, hey, there's a, you know, bike path went in, or a park went in your area, and you're going to be assessed to your house, you know, just like taxes. Those specials are up and coming, so you need, that's where you'll need to put okay, actually what I was just going over is right here, has received a notice saying that you're coming, that there's going to be some more specials.
So you're even though it's actually not on this listing, you're saying that it has, just for, because it didn't show it on this one, right?
You're right. I'm going to put has not, since
Okay.
that was 0 on that one.
Got it.
And just to help your buyers understand, they say, well, why would I have to pay that if they already got a letter stating it? Well, you know, I understand what you're saying, and what you're asking. A special is something that benefits the buyer of the home. So the person who owns the home, it's going to benefit them in the future. So it hasn't been assessed yet, but so that's how I explain it to my buyers: is you'll benefit from it, not them. So make sure that there's under documents, property disclosure. You have to save this to your desktop, so it's a regular one, not a non-owner occupant one or a waiver. So this is the real one, so you'll need to know that. Where is save?
Download?
Yep.
And just click the arrow up there.
I'm going to make sure it goes to desktop.
Yeah.
It's just temporary.
Mhm.
And put Thompson PDS. This is just my opinion. This is how I do it. Keep it a system.
Yep.
And then, because you don't want to put all those other forms in for the local, like your agency and all that stuff should be done already. But the reason I don't have them sign that here, because it's already done already. But you don't want everything that I'm going to put in this Authentisign is everything that the listing agent wants to see.
Yep.
So you don't want to put all that other stuff that the listing agent doesn't need to see. So it has, and at this point, if your buyer hasn't seen the property disclosure statement, email it to them now and say, please, please review the property disclosure statement under the documents tab before I have you sign it here in a little bit.
Yep.
And I also put the contract coming soon, because it's usually about 10 minutes after you send it to them. But they likely have already seen it anyways.
Right.
Okay. It's not.
Lead-based paint, since it's a newer home, but we don't need the lead-based paint disclosure. So if it's pre-1978, then you need it.
Correct. 2017. Close. Explaining.
Prorated. So you always check gross instead of discounted?
I do, because unless it says $500 on the listing, then you'll know that it's a discounted one because of either elderly or a veteran or something like that. But most of the taxes that are on the Flex MLS are gross.
Okay.
The gross ones. Taxes are gross.
Yeah, they really are gross.
Annual installments, buyer and seller shall prorate as of date of close. What did we say? Is there zero?
Specials?
Specials right now. Specials on page 0. Perfect. Buyer shall assume 0.
Or you just put there are none, right?
Yep. I know. Stop being so right. Second one there. So this one's in town. If it was a rural property, that's what you want to put, rural water and that. But since it's in town, it's not contingent on a well or septic.
Okay.
Does not. Sorry, I kind of went all over the board there. Jason represents the park company is the seller's agent. Data.
So what is, well, I suppose you would normally have it.
Prorated as of next door, not applicable.
Okay.
Unless it's a new construction, but then you'd have it on a different form.
Describe a warranty deed, other deed, just for new agents.
Yeah, the only time I've ever in 11 years needed to put any other warranty deed is if it's on contract for deed. The
Okay.
warranty deed is just like a car title. Once you sign your name a million times on 9/11 at 1 o'clock, then you can get a warranty deed and you own it.
Yep.
Dual agency does not apply since it's not a Keller Williams deal.
If it was Keller Williams, then it would, correct?
Correct, if it's on your team. Then
On
it's
your-
agency, but if Minnesota or North Dakota are a little different there also. If it's North Dakota, it's appointed agency.
Okay.
Unless it's on your team. If it's FM team selling to an FM team, then it is dual agency.
Okay, we can get into that when we cross that in the future.
Declines of protection. In 11 years, I've never sold a home warranty plan. It's extra insurance. Dave Ramsey says not to. If your buyer asks you to, then due diligence, get them all the information they need. But I know we don't even bring it up because it's.
You never do it, huh?
No.
Okay.
Some people do. I know.
What if
Just,
the seller's offering one? Do you still decline it?
no, then
And they'll take it?
yeah. Unless it gets them a better deal. If the buyer doesn't want it and they haven't paid for it yet, then he can say, we want a discount instead of the home protection fund.
Got it.
Okay, so this other terms is where you would put subject to owner's purchase.
Okay.
That's SCOP. That's what the stop clause is. This protects the seller.
Do you have any more details in there in that section?
That's all. That's all I put in. But
You need to put at somewhere in the agreement. You need to put well, wait, we didn't have.
we don't have one to sell, but I think I know where you're going. To represent my buyer, to make sure that we're not, not looking at other houses for a month and right before closing, if they haven't found something yet. This is where you could over communicate and put in here and sellers to have a home found and under contract within 14 days of right now.
So the sellers on that house that we're putting the offer in, we want to write that in there. And the seller will. Usually put that in there. Or do you
I don't, but I usually have the conversation up front with the listing agent, and they usually tell me, yeah, they're diligently looking. Matter of fact, we're going to one tonight to look at that. A second showing that they want to make an offer on, because right now it's a buyer's market. Yes, Teresa would want you to put this in here to protect your buyer better. I just over communicate up front with the listing agent.
Yeah.
By the way, I've said this before in a buyer consult that it's just as important to have a great relationship with your clients as it is with the other agents in town, for this reason, because then you know that it's a woman, everybody's pulling the same way. Try 14 days. I don't accept this day. Okay. Is not, unless they are. Okay, down there, so that's 5, oops, that's 5 pages, file, and exit.
And you don't have to hit save or anything?
I
It
did.
just automatically saves it?
I just hovered over that, and then I drug save. Yep. Or it automatically saves. Yep. Page 6 of 7. The reason you have to have your pages correct is that if it's not, or if you just leave them blank and they accept an offer and then they go and try to slip something in saying buyer's not going to, seller's not going to finish the basement, or and your expectation, it's just to overcome objections and to set the expectations of what's going to happen. Because if you left that blank, someone could slip in a page 8 and you don't even have how many pages are on there. So if you have it that, no, this is the last page, then they can't slip in another addendum with something that helps their buyer or seller more. So. And
if you do have an addendum, do you have to go back and change the page numbers, total page numbers? After the fact?
There's a checkbox on page 5 of the purchase agreement that says this offer is subject to a counteroffer form. So that's usually the only other form that you'll need. Yep.
Okay.
Conventional approximate amount. So how much is John putting down on his loan? Do you know?
10,000.
10,000. So let's see if it's 250. Let's just say that he's putting down 5%, which should be 12,500. So let's say he's putting 5% down. But I mean, if it's 10,000, that's great, but that's less than 5%. So conventional is usually 3 to 5%.
Okay.
So approximate amount of, so if he's putting 10 or 12,000 down, 250 minus that equals what? 250
minus 12.5, 237.5. You knew that you were just trying to make it look good.
And is he going 30 years on the loan?
Yep.
And this, you might have to explain up front that this is just to protect you in case the rates jump to 8% overnight and your payment goes up and you can't afford it. So this is just a round number. It's not exactly what you're gonna be paying, but I put 4.5% or rates right now are about 4%. So I just jack them up 0.5% just so they're protected.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when you send it out for electronic signature, your buyer's gonna call back and say, hey, I thought my rate was 4%. And just tell them up front.
Got it.
Here's the seller contribution. This is where the 4,000 seller paid closing cost goes. Conventional, they're not. I usually put 0 in there. This is on this line in FHA loan. That's where they're picky on like peeling paint or handrails or things like that. So they usually put 250 in there. Yeah.
So you almost always put 0 in there. Is it because you don't suspect that the appraiser is going to require repairs?
Correct.
Okay.
You're still protected, and you're protecting your buyer because in this addendum that we're filling out right now, it says it has to appraise, and all the contingencies on the appraisal have to clear also. So you're protected.
Got it. And where exactly does it say that it has to appraise?
Right there. If the property appraised for less than the purchase price, buyer shall have the privilege and option of these two things.
So that is like this is basically right in the purchase agreement on the conventional. You have an appraisal contingency on there. So.
Yep. And by now,
I've been asked that before, and I can remember. Can't remember where it's at. So.
Another nice thing, make sure that by this point you've already got all of the agency and buyer loyalty agreement or the exclusive right to represent. All that stuff was already signed because you had a buyer consult. So this is a lot easier when they already know, like, and trust you. So make sure that if you're not doing a buyer consult, you're fired.
Mm-hmm. Lee said it, not me.
No, just do it. It makes your life a lot easier. I didn't the first few years, and I sure wish someone would have made me do it. I put a complete home inspection, and I put that they. Oh, I think it's Minnesota.
And you don't ever check any of the boxes below
no,
there?
Because this covers
Or
all
because it's a complete home inspection or, okay.
Have a good relationship with an inspector. I do Daryl Dahl, DJ's Home Inspections. I give my buyers at the buyer consult a list of, there's like 7 or 8 inspectors in there. But since I know and talk to Daryl all the time, I know how far out he is. And right now, since so Minnesota is calendar days, and this is business days, where it says business days right here. So
okay.
that's actually about 10 days because you get a weekend in with it,
Okay.
or 8, whatever it is.
So in Minnesota, what do you usually put? Calendar,
10.
you put the same? You put 10?
I'll put 7 here because it's about 10 calendar days.
Got it.
But in Minnesota, I'll put 10 because it's only calendar days. So it's still, and I know that Daryl Dahl, since I talked to him yesterday, that he's about 4 or 5 days out. So I'm being safe by putting 7 business days in here. And I'll even text him, once I get this done, I'll text him and say, well, if you're wondering, now's the time to stop, pick up your phone, text him and say, can you get a North Dakota, house in the 250K range inspection done, within 7 business days.
Okay.
And he'll text back right away, yes or no. I put 7222 on all these. Unless the inspector is getting really backed up, then I'll put 10.
And you do the same, you put 10-222 in Minnesota?
Yep.
Yeah. You have to do
And shall have the right. So until the inspection's done, they can still have it as for sale, but pending inspection.
Got it.
Exit. There we go. So next, all we do is go to the next spot here. Since those are all filled out now, there's no documents. Can I fix this for you quick? Most of the agents watching or listening are going to be doing the same. So go to, where's widgets? Show hide widgets. You don't need, because this is the default one.
Okay.
It's not working right now, but I'll show all.
No, that won't be it.
Anyway, you can take this documents one because this is 1, 2, 3, 4 different. You can take them out and just put the Authentisign one in.
Okay.
Forms, overview. So I'm going to need to drag in Authentisign. Okay, here we go. That one. Yeah.
So then this will keeps all of your everything that you've done in your own Authentisign account forever.
What address did we just? Is the one that we're doing?
I don't remember. 723.16. The top one.
Oh, perfect. So then it drags in everything for you.
What do you mean by drags in? Drags it into where?
Yep, it pulls in all of the everything that we've already put in, so it automatically populates all of the forms. Participants. This is the easiest part since we already added everyone.
Okay.
Documents. All 3 that we just filled out. Add. And there's one more add. Remember which one it is? Okay, right here's where it's Thompson. Puts it under buyer.
Okay.
Remember what else we need to bring in?
Oh, the property disclosure.
Okay, design. All right, work's all done. 250. Just kind of skim through, make sure you didn't miss any pages. All this verbiage is the stuff that we put in there.
So it automatically puts all the signature lines and the initial lines in for you.
You bet. And this says dual agency. It automatically puts that in on both Minnesota and North Dakota. So I just have to delete that out there since it's not. Put the verbiage in for me.
What did it put in there?
Just what I typed in, the subject to owner's
sure,
purchase. Yeah. Okay, good there. Just kind of skim through your eyes, make sure that you didn't forget any pages in general. Oh, okay, so that one it didn't do automatically. Thompson, drag and drop, bring in signature, and then right click and go up to add date stamp. Either that or you can just bring in a date if you want.
So what happened here? Why didn't it pull the signature in for that one?
Not sure.
Don't know.
Minnesota does.
It's always good to just double check to make sure everything's correct.
You bet.
Yep.
It did for all the other ones, just
okay.
Like that one. All right, so this one, North Dakota, you do need to put initials on all of them. Right click, date stamp, initial, right click, date stamp. Date stamp. If it kind of sucks the first couple times, good. That means you're learning something. Date stamp.
Yeah.
And it's your career for the rest of your life, so why wouldn't you want to get good at it? Date stamp.
That's a damn good point.
Show. Right click, date stamp, tramp stamp. Show.
You just had to throw that in there. Now we're gonna have to delete the whole thing and start over.
Yeah, I heard you say something.
That's already signed. Oh, that was the initials.
Signature. Right click, date stamp. Signature. Yeah. All right, you are finished. Then you hit next. I better not, because there might be a Jake Thompson or John Thompson at Gmail.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So you hit
Send it
next.
to him.
Yep, you just hit next, and then as soon as you hit next, you can either call them or text them. I usually just text them because we've already gone over everything they need to know by this point, and just text them. I just emailed you. I just sent you an email that needs your electronic signatures. Please let me know if you have any questions on your offer period. Thanks.
Perfect. That's it. That concludes our class, submitting a North Dakota offer with conventional financing. Thanks to the Robocan. You did a fantastic job.
Peace
I
out.
actually learned a lot.
Good.
Peace out, homie.
Thanks.